When you request records from a government agency, you might be surprised to learn that there are often fees involved. These charges can vary depending on the type of record, the format you request, and the agency's own policies. In this video, we'll break down what fees agencies are allowed to charge for providing records, why these fees exist, and how you can anticipate or even reduce these costs. Let's start by understanding the basic principles behind agency record fees and why they are implemented in the first place. Agencies charge fees for records to cover the costs associated with locating, duplicating, and sometimes reviewing the requested information. These fees are not meant to generate profit, but to offset the expenses incurred during the record's request process. By charging reasonable fees, agencies can maintain their resources and ensure that public access to information remains sustainable. Understanding this purpose helps set expectations for both requesters and agencies, fostering transparency in the records process. There are several types of fees that agencies may charge when you request records. The most common are search fees, duplication fees, and review fees. Search fees cover the time spent locating the records, duplication fees are for making copies, and review fees may apply if the agency needs to examine records for confidential information before release. Each fee serves a specific function and is usually calculated based on the time and resources required to fulfill your request. Search fees are charged for the time agency staff spend finding the records you've requested. This can include searching through electronic databases, paper files, or other storage systems. The fee is typically based on the hourly wage of the staff member conducting the search. If your request is broad or requires extensive searching, these fees can add up quickly. It's important to be as specific as possible in your request to minimize search time and associated costs. Duplication fees are charged for making copies of records. This can include photocopying paper documents, printing electronic files, or burning data onto a CD or USB drive. The cost per page or per item is usually set by agency policy and may reflect the actual cost of materials and equipment use. If you request records in a digital format, duplication fees might be lower than for paper copies, but some agencies still charge for the time spent preparing the files. Review fees may be charged when agency staff need to examine records for confidential or exempt information before releasing them. This process ensures that sensitive data, such as personal identifiers or security details, are properly redacted. Review fees are typically calculated based on the time spent by staff, often at a higher rate if legal or specialized review is required. Not all requests incur review fees, but they are common when records contain protected information. Most agencies have a published fee schedule or policy that outlines exactly what they charge for records requests. These schedules are often available on the agency's website or by request. Reviewing the fee schedule before submitting your request can help you estimate costs and avoid surprises. If you have questions about specific charges, agency staff can usually provide clarification or guidance on how fees are calculated. Agencies are generally required by law to keep their fees reasonable and not to exceed the actual cost of providing records. State and federal laws often set maximum allowable charges for certain types of records or formats. If you believe an agency is charging excessive fees, you may have the right to appeal or request a fee waiver. Understanding the legal framework can help you advocate for fair access to public records. In some cases, you may be eligible for a fee, waiver, or reduction. Agencies often grant waivers if the request is in the public interest, such as for news reporting or research that benefits the community. To request a waiver, you typically need to provide a written explanation of why your request serves the public good. Each agency has its own criteria, so it's important to review their policies and submit any required documentation. When requesting electronic records, fees may differ from those for paper records. Agencies might charge for the time spent retrieving and preparing digital files, as well as for any media used to deliver the records, such as CDs or USB drives. Some agencies provide electronic records at no cost if they can be emailed or downloaded directly. Always specify your preferred format to understand the potential fees involved. For paper records, duplication fees are often calculated per page. Agencies may also charge for the cost of mailing or delivering the records to you. If large volumes of paper are involved, the total cost can become significant. Some agencies offer the option to review records in person, which can help you avoid duplication and mailing fees altogether. Always ask about available options before finalizing your request. If you request records in a special format, such as large maps, blueprints, or audio and video files, agencies may charge additional fees. These costs reflect the extra time, equipment, or materials needed to produce the records in your desired format. Always specify your needs clearly and ask for an estimate before proceeding, so you can budget accordingly and avoid unexpected expenses. Some agencies set minimum charges for processing records requests, even if the actual cost is lower. Conversely, There may also be maximum charges established by law or policy to prevent excessive fees. It's important to review the agency's fee schedule to understand these thresholds. If your request is small, you might still pay a minimum fee, while large requests could be capped to protect your budget. Agencies may require advance payment before processing your records request, especially if the estimated fees are substantial. This policy helps ensure that the agency is compensated for its work and prevents unnecessary use of resources. If you're asked to pay in advance, the agency should provide a detailed estimate of the charges. Once payment is received, they will proceed with your request. If you pay more than the actual cost of your records request, agencies typically issue a refund for the overpayment. This can happen if the final cost is lower than the initial estimate. Conversely, if the cost exceeds your payment, you may be asked to pay the difference before receiving the records. Always keep receipts and documentation for your records in case you need to follow up on payments or refunds. If you disagree with the fees charged by an agency, you have the right to dispute the charges or file an appeal. Most agencies have a formal process for handling fee disputes, which may involve submitting a written explanation or requesting a review by a higher authority. Knowing your rights and the agency's procedures can help you resolve fee issues fairly and efficiently. Some agencies offer fee exemptions or reductions for specific groups, such as students, nonprofit organizations, or journalists. These exemptions recognize the public benefit of certain types of records requests and help ensure that cost is not a barrier to access. If you belong to an eligible group, be sure to provide documentation and ask about available exemptions when making your request. Transparency is key when it comes to agency fees. Laws often require agencies to clearly disclose their fee schedules and provide itemized invoices for records requests. This transparency helps build trust and allows requesters to understand exactly what they are being charged for. If you receive a bill, review it carefully and ask for clarification if any charges are unclear. Before submitting a records request, you can ask the agency for an estimate of the fees you might incur. This estimate should include all potential charges, such as search, duplication, and review fees. Having an estimate helps you budget for your request and decide whether to proceed, modify, or narrow your request to reduce costs. One effective way to reduce fees is to narrow the scope of your records request. By specifying exact dates, subjects, or types of records, you can minimize the time and resources required to fulfill your request. Agencies are often willing to help you refine your request to make it more manageable and affordable. Don't hesitate to ask for assistance if you're unsure how to narrow your request. If you need multiple records, consider batching your requests. Some agencies offer reduced fees for combined requests, as it can be more efficient to process them together. This approach can save both time and money, especially if the records are related or stored in the same location. Always check with the agency to see if batching is an option and how it might affect your fees. If you're requesting records for commercial purposes, agencies may charge higher fees. This is because commercial requests often require more resources and are not considered to serve the public interest in the same way as personal or public benefit requests. Be prepared to disclose the intended use of the records and review the agency's commercial fee policy before submitting your request. Large volume requests can result in significant fees due to the time and resources needed to process them. Agencies may break down the request into manageable parts or provide records in installments. If you anticipate a large request, discuss options with the agency to understand the potential costs and explore ways to reduce the fee burden. The time frame for fulfilling your records request can also impact the fees. Rush requests or expedited processing may incur additional charges, while standard processing is usually less expensive. If you're not in a hurry, opting for regular processing can help keep costs down. Always clarify your timeline needs with the agency to avoid unnecessary fees. Agencies use different methods to calculate fees, such as flat rates, hourly rates, or per-page charges. The method depends on the type of record, the amount of work involved, and agency policy. Understanding how fees are calculated can help you anticipate costs and make informed decisions about your request. Don't hesitate to ask the agency for a breakdown of their calculation method. For particularly large or complex records requests, agencies may require a deposit before beginning work. This deposit is usually based on the estimated cost of fulfilling the request. Once the work is complete, the final cost is calculated and any overpayment is refunded. Deposits help agencies manage resources and ensure that requesters are committed to following through. If you have unpaid fees from a previous records request, agencies may refuse to process new requests until the outstanding balance is paid. This policy encourages timely payment and helps agencies manage their workload. Always settle any outstanding fees promptly to avoid delays in future requests. If you're requesting records on behalf of someone else, agencies may have specific policies regarding fees. You may be required to provide authorization or additional documentation, and fees may be charged to the requester or the subject of the records. Always clarify the agency's third-party request policy before proceeding. For ongoing or recurring records requests, such as regular updates or periodic reports, agencies may establish a subscription or retainer fee structure. This arrangement can provide predictable costs and ensure timely delivery of records. If you need ongoing access, discuss subscription options with the agency to find the most cost-effective solution. If you need certified copies of records, agencies may charge an additional certification fee. Certified copies are often required for legal or official purposes and involve extra steps to verify authenticity. The certification fee covers the cost of this process and is usually set by agency policy or law. Always specify if you need certified copies when making your request. When records require redaction to remove confidential or sensitive information, agencies may charge additional fees for this service. Redaction can be time-consuming, especially for large or complex records. The fee is usually based on the time spent by staff and may be higher if legal review is needed. Always ask for an estimate if you expect significant redaction. If you need records urgently, agencies may offer expedited processing for an additional fee. Expedited requests are prioritized and completed faster than standard requests, but the extra cost reflects the resources needed to meet your timeline. Always confirm the availability and cost of expedited service before submitting your request. If you request physical delivery of records, agencies may charge for postage, shipping, or courier services. These fees are usually based on the actual cost of delivery and may vary depending on the size and weight of the records. If you prefer, you can often pick up records in person to avoid delivery fees. If you need records translated into another language, agencies may charge additional fees for translation services. These fees reflect the cost of hiring qualified translators and the time required to complete the work. Translation fees are typically calculated per page or per word, depending on the agency's policy. Some agencies offer research services to help you locate or interpret records. These services may be subject to additional fees, especially if they require significant staff time or expertise. Research fees are usually charged by the hour and can add up quickly, so always ask for an estimate before requesting research assistance. If you request data in a specific format or require extraction from databases, agencies may charge data extraction fees. These fees cover the time and technical expertise needed to compile and format the data as requested. Data extraction fees are typically based on the complexity of the request and the resources required. Agencies may allow you to inspect records on site at no cost, but fees may apply if you request copies or if staff assistance is required during your visit. On-site inspection can be a cost-effective way to review large volumes of records without incurring duplication fees. Always check the agency's policy on on-site access before planning your visit. Some agencies offer remote access to records through online portals or databases. While access may be free, fees can apply for downloading, printing, or exporting records. Remote access can be convenient and cost-effective, but always review the agency's fee policy for digital services before using these options. If you need certified transcripts of meetings, hearings, or other proceedings, agencies may charge a fee for preparing and certifying these documents. The fee covers the time and resources needed to produce an accurate and official transcript. Always specify your need for certification and ask for an estimate before requesting transcript. Requests for audio or video records may incur additional fees for duplication, redaction, or conversion to a usable format. These fees reflect the extra time and equipment needed to process multimedia records. Always clarify your format needs and ask about potential charges before requesting audio or video files. Historical or archival records may have unique fee structures due to their age, fragility, or storage requirements. Agencies may charge preservation or handling fees to ensure these valuable records are protected during access or duplication. If you're interested in historical records, discuss the agency's policies and potential costs before making your request. If you require certified translations of records, agencies may charge a premium for this service. Certified translations are often needed for legal or official purposes and require qualified translators. The fee covers both the translation and the certification process, ensuring the document's accuracy and authenticity. Special handling fees may apply if your request requires unusual effort, such as retrieving records from off-site storage or handling oversized materials. These fees reflect the extra time and resources needed to fulfill your request. Always ask about special handling charges if your request is out of the ordinary. If the records you request do not exist or cannot be found, agencies generally do not charge duplication fees. However, you may still be responsible for search or review fees if staff spent time looking for the records. Always clarify what fees apply in the event that records are not found. Understanding what fees agencies can charge for records is essential for anyone seeking public information. Fees can include search, duplication, review, and special handling charges, among others. By reviewing agency policies, requesting estimates, and narrowing your requests, you can manage costs and ensure a smoother records request process. Remember, transparency and communication are key to navigating agency fees successfully. Thank you for watching, and we hope this guide helps you access the records you need.